Welcome. Thank you all for coming. This wellness seminar series is the brainchild of Robin Kemper. Robin and her mother, Diane Goldman Kemper, made a philanthropic gift to the Multiple Sclerosis Center. And Robin thought that part of that gift would be really well used to create a wellness seminar series. When we think of caring for people with MS, we think of 4 cornerstones: exercise, nutrition, medications, and mental well-being. And this seminar series that allows us to bring top-notch, world-class speakers like Trevor, addressing each of these really important topics for people with MS, giving them all the tools that they need to live, the best life possible is really just a gift. So we are delighted to have Trevor kick this off. Renee will introduce Trevor, but welcome to the first Diane Goldman Kemper and Robin Kemper Multiple Sclerosis Wellness Seminar Series. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for tonight, Trevor Wicken. He is the owner of the MS Gym and has been a fitness enthusiast for many years. The MS Gym is devoted to providing a platform for movement and mindset training for those living with MS and other neurological conditions. He completed a graduate program in exercise science with a focus on biomechanical analysis, which was followed up by completing his certificate as a strength and conditioning specialist, medical exercise specialist, and a corrective exercise specialist. Trevor has a passion for helping others get to a healthier version of themselves. Trevor has created a gym that is more than just a place to work out. It's a community where members can come together to support and motivate each other. I am honored to introduce Trevor. Thank you.
All right, let's roll. So I've been in practice for over 20 years as a medical fitness specialist, as a biomechanical neurocentric movement specialist, meaning that everything I do, I focus on the brain. It's not just about moving muscles. It's not just about fitness. It's not just about strength and all that. It's not just about let's get one body part moving. It's, can your central nervous system actually function, and can it understand what you're asking it to do? Because with MS, with other neurodegenerative conditions, that communication between your brain and your body and your brain gets disrupted. It gets slowed down. It just gets jumbled. And when that happens, everything slows down because your body goes into a state of protection instead of performance. Okay. So I've spent my entire life, my entire career, focusing on how to watch people move, analyze what they do, and then get them to move better. When we talk about movement as medicine, I truly believe that it is. Like Dr. V was saying, you guys have 4 cornerstones here, right? You got exercise, you got nutrition, you got DMTs, you got mental, emotional health, because without all those things, you will fall. So when we look at movement medicine, it truly can counteract MS, because MS and neurodegeneration shut down your body's ability to move. So if we feed it what is being deprived and teach it how to do it different, then that is how we start to heal. So when we look at, if you look at those 3 circles down there, what we're going to be talking about today is that our cornerstones, kind of our pillars of the MS Gym programming, is can you see, can you balance, and can you move? In our world, everything stems from the central nervous system. So why do I focus on the central nervous system? Why does this center focus on the central nervous system? Because the central nervous system is the most efficient control system in your body. It is the most anatomically stable system in your body, which means that it is the most functionally plastic or flexible. So that means that there's a lot of different ways to work around MS damage. So number 1, neuroplasticity is the reorganizing of neural networks, meaning you can reorganize how your nervous system does things. It's the repatterning of function, meaning that if you walk with a circumduction gait like this, you can actually repattern your brain to walk with a normalized gait. All right. It's a retraining of how the brain communicates, meaning that if the way that you have always the road, the map from your brain to your hip flexor, you've always used it, and that's road A. If that gets blown up by something like MS, we got to find another way, which I'll show you in just a sec. Remapping neuromuscular conversations. Okay. So your brain and your nerves and your muscles have to find a new way, a new language of how to do what you're asking it to do. Bottom line is neuroplasticity is the changing of neurons, and it is happening all the time in your body. What you say, what you speak, what you think, how you move, what you're focused on, all like everything, you're neuroplastic all the time. So you need to constantly be aware of what you're doing in order to move your body and partner with it to move it towards the direction that you want to go, which is more mobility, more strength, more energy. Right? Imagine that there's a road going from your brain to your foot, right? And if that road, and you've always been using that road because your brain's like, that's just the most efficient road to lift your foot, until it doesn't work anymore because you start getting demyelination, you start getting inflammation, you start having the communication between your brain and your foot interrupted. Well, if that happened on a highway, what happens? First, imagine you get detoured onto a frontage road. Those frontage roads go the same place that those big highways go, but they're just smaller, less developed pathways. Well, if we can guide the brain to choose those frontage roads instead of the big damaged highway, then the brain will start utilizing and sending signals down those frontage roads. And what happens is that the brain's like, wait a sec, this is a way more efficient way, and I love this a lot better, and the signal's getting through. So let's start developing this road. Let's start making it bigger and wider and more paved. Let's get it faster. And eventually, with more practice, the brain starts to prefer that highway over the first one. So we're not creating new neurons, but what we are doing is reorganizing them and guiding your brain towards reprioritizing and choosing a different pathway. Does that all make sense? All right, cool. So what drives that? So everything Dr. V just talked about is what drives neuroplasticity. It's driven by a chemical hormone called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Right? So in this BDNF helps your brain adapt and learn. It improves all forms of neuroplasticity. And here's the cool part, why you should care about it, is you can influence it. You can influence it by your lifestyle. So if we want to train ourselves to get better, we need to train the things that we want to make us better. So the SAID principle is what my entire life is devoted to. Specific adaptation to imposed demands, right? So when we look at the brain adapts to the demands placed on it, which is what I just said. The body does exactly what it practices repeatedly. So it's truly use it or lose it. If you are focused on let's just say every 30 minutes, every hour, just getting up and you want to walk better, and no matter how much assistance you have, just focusing on 5 good steps. Your body is doing what you're telling your body what you want it to practice. You're telling the brain what you want it to focus on. So how do we do that? So in the MS Gym, the RISE movement system is the movement system that I've developed through 20 whatever years in practice, right? At the beginning of my career, I was super focused on corrective exercise, motor output. I was one of them. But as I've gone through the last 7 years, I really started to follow some really in-depth movement neurology studies. And this has grown and this has adapted. All right. So we got RISE, right? So R stands for receptors. I stands for integration. S stands for strength. E stands for energize or endurance. So the MS Gym program, so what we focus on and what any program should focus on, regardless of the MS Gym or not, we need to focus on visual training, like I talked about. So receptor 1, eye training, okay? So you can train your eyes. They have muscles in them, and you do it just like everything else in your body. Every single muscle in your body is capable of improving endurance, strength, agility, and power. So R2, how do we actually get the vestibular system to kick in? Head movement, spinal activation, and breathing. So rotating your head side to side, nodding up and down, tilting, that kind of stuff it trains your brain to be more effective and your instrument panel to be more precise. Number 2 is spinal activation. Just standing here and standing up as tall as you can and trying to make your spine as long as you can and just hold that. Or just lengthening it to the side this way, lengthening it to the side this way. That's spinal activation. That's slow moving vestibular training. You start slow and you add speed on top of technique. And then breathing, like I said, drives all movement. The more you breathe, the better your vestibular system will become. All right. And then the last R is joints, right? So in your joints, if like you want to think about it like two speaker volumes, like you got two dials, right? If you got one turned up to 10 and one turned down to 1, you're going to have a very weird sound. Now, using that same analogy, if you have a dial system for your audio system and you have that volume turned up to 10, that's a lot of noise. That's really loud and it's really disturbing, right? So what happens is if you have hyperactivity in your body, that's volume 10. There's too much going on. Your body is trying way too hard to do something, and that can oftentimes lead to spasticity, joint stiffness, insane amounts of pain. So everything just tightens up like this because it doesn't want to fall down. So it's like, I'm just going to hold on, right? The other side of that is a volume 1. So if the brain is not getting the signal, or your joint receptors are not getting the signal to the brain, that volume gets turned way down, because if your brain can't find a part of your body, it's not going to use it. It doesn't feel safe. So it turns that volume down to 1. This is what leads to weakness, plasticity, and just that general disconnectedness that you feel in your body. So our job is to improve joint receptor function. When we turn down the volume on those super hyperactive joints or hyperspastic joints, we improve mobility. When we turn up the volume on those weak or flaccid joints, the muscle surrounding them, or the activity in the joint receptor, we improve strength. So we want to do both. So we've designed things that actually help you reduce the activity most commonly seen in people with neurodegenerative and MS, and we activate or strengthen those muscle groups. So we're going to the eyes. So the eyes are isolate and integrate. Okay. So isolated strength training, isolated corrective exercise has a ton of use in its own right. So these are the muscles, these are key muscles right here. These are the muscles of your core. This is what formulates in the MS gym what we call BGB, right? So you got your butts or your booty, you got your guts, and you got your blades. That's your core, your hip girdle, your deep core canister, and then you got your shoulder girdle. Now, we need to train each of those areas to be very efficient and very active and very functional. That's where corrective exercise and isolated one body part at a time kind of thing comes in. There's a very, very significant time and a place for it. The second type of movement in here is integration. So if you look at postural, compound, and functional, those are the other 4 types of strength training. You have isolated strength training, which means just doing a bicep curl or a knee bend. But you want postural strength training. That means, can you put up like something like putting a band around your neck? Can you push up into that band and can you hold that for 30 seconds? The second type of strength training is compound. 7 movements in your human movement system that we focus on: a push, a pull, a hinge, a squat, a lunge, a carry. Can you carry your own body weight? Strength comes from your body's ability to not feel like that weight is as threatening. That's how you get stronger. You make weights lighter by making your brain be able to handle them better. One of the biggest measures or metrics of disability is weakness. Sometimes it's just the way things are because of your condition. Sometimes it's your lifestyle. Both of those are changeable. You can do something about those. Remember, you can drive BDNF. You can drive neuroplasticity. You can change your body. My goal is not to get you to be the best person at practicing MS gym exercises or any other thing. My goal is to get you stronger in the gym so that your life can be more fulfilling, have more freedom, and have more choice. That's the entire goal of what I do. We're getting you stronger and we're loading you up in multiple positions. So when those positions actually happen in your life, it seems easier to your body, because why? If we can do that with 30 pounds in our hands, if I can lean to the side with 30 pounds in my hands, how easy is it to do it with no weight? Does that make sense? So that's what strength training is for. We give you a body weight. We give you a resistance band. We give you a kettlebell or a dumbbell to train your body in a heavier setup that's very controlled, very focused, very safe, so to speak, because there's not a lot of other things going on, so that when you drop your keys in the middle of the street and you need to bend down, you're not on your face, because that becomes so much easier for your brain. Neurologic endurance training. So endurance is basically physiologic energy system utilization. So can you use fuel? Can you use oxygen? Can you use nutrients in order to fuel your body to keep being strong, balanced, mobile, all that kind of stuff as long as you want to? You have to build your energy systems in order to move better, reduce fatigue, stay stronger longer, delay your symptoms, get better sleep, and increase your brain volume. There's massive amounts of research in the Alzheimer's world about how aerobic exercise and getting your heart rate elevated for an extended period of time actually have started to regenerate cells in your hippocampus. Like cardio works, but that doesn't mean you have to go get on a treadmill and do a 45-minute sweat sesh. You don't. You can put multiple things together in something that your brain understands, and that will build your cardiopulmonary endurance, which in turn, if you have more cardiopulmonary endurance, your strength increases, your balance increases, your mobility increases, your symptoms reduce, because what we're doing here is your amount of physiologic endurance dictates what's called your neural edge in our MS world, right? Your neural edge or your neurologic reserve, okay? That neurologic reserve is how much work can you do before you trip the switch and symptoms appear, or you notice them, or they limit you. Well, when you train neurologic endurance, that increases the size of your energy tank. It gives your reserve, it makes your well deeper. So therefore, the same amount of work that used to trip this and send you in a neurologic edge, all of a sudden we train and move you up to here, you have this much more energy for the day. Then all of a sudden you hang out and you go to right here, train there, and all of a sudden it goes up again, and then up again, and then up again. So the goal is, first, obviously we want to reduce your symptoms, but first is we want to reduce the duration, the frequency, the intensity, and how long it takes for symptoms to actually show up. That's what this whole RISE movement system is based on, okay? We were just talking about this at dinner, is that there's a minimum effective dose for exercise. So the minimum effective dose is based on what drills are low threat for your brain. What can you do? How can you move in a way that's not going to make your body freak out? Resistance. What's the intensity level of what you're doing, whether that's resistance bands, whether that's weights, whether that's speed, whether that's direction, whether that's tempo. That's all resistance intensity stuff, right? Time. How long can you work out? That's what we just talked about. If you can only move for 10 minutes before symptoms show up, great, that's your cap. Maybe you do 3 10-minute sessions a day. You don't have to work out for an hour, but you could do 4 15-minute blocks throughout your day, activate your brain more often, still get the 60 minutes in, still get the benefits of an hour, and your body doesn't get broken down and beat up, because it takes a lot longer to recover if you have neurodegenerative conditions. So the right prescription has to tell you what to do, has to tell you how to do it. You have to be coached well, has to give you guidelines and help you determine when to do it, what time of day, how do you stay accountable? Do you hook up with the community? Do you have a buddy group? Do you have partners? Who to do it with? Same concept. You need to be with people who have experienced this, that know it, who've gone before you, who have struggled, who have succeeded. And that's what we do. All right. So if you guys want more information, and I'm going to take questions here in a sec, but if you want more information, just go to the msgym.com. It's our website. It's super easy. We have something for everybody, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is. I just want you guys to get tapped into a community that you trust, tapped into a practitioner that you hopefully trust, and just start moving and start exploring and start being like, you know what, I actually can heal. I can move, and movement truly is medicine. Love you. Thank you. You guys are awesome.